"Sir, put that phone away right now." The officer is standing next to your driver's side window in Arizona, lights flashing, traffic moving past you. Your camera is recording. You ask, "Officer, am I not allowed to record?" And the officer responds, "If you keep filming me, this stop is going to get a lot more difficult." Now your heart starts racing. Do you stop recording? Can police in Arizona legally order you to put your phone away? What happens if you refuse? And what words protect you without turning a traffic stop into a bigger problem? Every video here could save you from a serious mistake one day. Subscribe now so you don't miss what could protect you. Then share this video and drop your opinion below. I want to hear what you think. Most people make a critical mistake right here, not because they're criminals, because they panic, they argue, they over-explain, or they accidentally give the officer exactly what the officer wants. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through 5 ways to protect yourself legally and intelligently if an officer in Arizona tells you to stop recording or put your phone away. Not by escalating, not by acting aggressive, but by understanding the difference between compliance and consent, because one sentence can completely change the direction of the stop. First, understand the stakes. A traffic stop is one of the few moments where a normal conversation can suddenly become a criminal investigation. Officers are trained to gather evidence. They watch your hands, your tone, your movements, and your words. And the moment you start arguing emotionally, reaching suddenly, or refusing lawful commands, things can spiral fast. That's why the goal is not to win on the roadside. The goal is to stay safe, preserve your rights, and avoid giving away information or consent you never intended to give. And yes, in many situations, recording police in public is protected under the First Amendment, including in Arizona. But that right is not unlimited. Officers may still issue commands related to safety, positioning, or interference during a stop, depending on the circumstances. That's why how you respond matters. Here's the first mistake people make. They turn the camera into a weapon instead of a witness. You'll see people immediately say things like, "I know my rights. You can't tell me what to do. I'm suing all of you." The problem is that none of those statements help you in the moment. What the officer is looking for is escalation, nervous behavior, resistance, anything that can justify extending the encounter. Instead, stay calm and keep your hands visible. If the officer says, "Put the phone away," don't instantly argue. Ask a calm, clarifying question. "Officer, are you giving me a lawful order for safety reasons?" That sentence matters. Why? Because it forces clarity without aggression. You're not refusing. You're not escalating. You're asking the officer to define whether the command is about safety or simply about stopping your recording. Then follow up with, "I do not want to interfere. I'm simply documenting the interaction." That wording is important because interference is often where these situations become legally complicated. If your recording is passive and not obstructing the officer, that may help protect you later if the stop is reviewed. Second mistake. People keep talking after they've already made their point. This destroys more cases than people realize. Here's what happens. The driver says, "I know I'm allowed to record." Then they keep going. "You guys harass people all the time. My cousin sued your department. I wasn't even speeding. You probably pulled me over because of my car." Now the stop becomes conversational, and conversational stops create opportunities for officers to gather more information. Instead, once you've stated your position calmly, stop talking. Use this phrase, "Officer, I'm going to remain silent and comply with lawful orders." That sentence does 2 things at once. It signals non-resistance, and it cuts off voluntary statements. Remember, silence cannot magically stop a stop. You still may have to provide identification in situations where the law requires it, but unnecessary conversation rarely helps you. Third mistake. People make sudden movements with the phone. This is huge. An officer approaching a vehicle does not know what's inside that car. Fast hand movements towards pockets, seats, waistbands, or center consoles can immediately raise tension, especially at night. So if your phone is already in your hand recording, do not start waving it around. Do not shove it into the officer's face. Do not reach suddenly to hide it. Narrate your movements calmly. Officer, my phone is in my right hand. I'm placing it on the dashboard. My registration is in the glove compartment. That narration matters because officers are constantly evaluating threat perception. Calm, verbal communication lowers tension dramatically. And if the officer insists the phone be moved, you can comply physically without consenting legally. For example, I'm placing the phone down, but I do not consent to deleting or surrendering my recordings. That distinction matters a lot, because compliance with a temporary command is not the same as voluntarily giving up access to your device or your data. Fourth mistake. People consent to searches because they feel pressured. This is where recording often becomes relevant. Sometimes an officer wants the phone off because people become nervous and start cooperating too much once recording stops. You may suddenly hear, "Do you mind if I take a quick look?" Right? If you've got nothing to hide, this will be fast. That is the trap. Sense searches are one of the biggest rights waivers people give away voluntarily. So if the conversation shifts towards searching your vehicle or your phone, stay calm and say, "Officer, I do not consent to any searches." Short, respectful, clear. Not argumentative, not emotional. And don't add extra explanations like, "Because my friend said cops plant evidence." Don't do that. The more you talk, the more material you create. Just repeat calmly if necessary. "I do not consent to searches." And if they search anyway, do not physically resist. Ever. You challenge unlawful searches later in court, not on the roadside. That leads directly to mistake number 5. Trying to win the legal argument during the stop. This is probably the most dangerous mistake of all. People start quoting constitutional amendments like they're in a courtroom debate. Meanwhile, the officer is focused on control and safety. You do not need to give a lecture on constitutional law during a traffic stop. You need a simple framework. Stay calm, keep your hands visible, do not consent, do not argue, do not physically resist, and ask the key question: am I free to go or am I detained? That phrase matters because it clarifies the status of the encounter. If you are free to leave, leave calmly. If you are detained, stop trying to talk your way out of it. And if questioning continues beyond basic identification or traffic matters, you can say, "I want to speak to a lawyer." That immediately changes the dynamic legally in many situations. Now, let's clear up something important. This video is educational information, not personal legal advice. Laws can vary depending on the facts, the location, and the exact circumstances of the stop. Arizona law, federal court rulings, and department policies may all interact differently depending on the situation. For example, officers may still impose restrictions tied to safety, scene control, or active investigations. Courts also look at whether someone was interfering physically or creating a legitimate safety concern. That's why the safest strategy is not escalation. It's controlled, calm, intelligent communication. And one more warning. Do not confuse asserting rights with being disrespectful. You can be firm without being hostile. You can refuse consent without insulting the officer. You can remain silent without becoming combative. The tone matters more than people realize. A calm voice lowers risk. An emotional argument raises it. So here's the safest framework if an Arizona officer tells you to put your phone away. Stay calm, keep your hands visible, avoid sudden movements. Ask whether the command is for safety reasons. Do not interfere physically. Do not consent to searches. Do not argue constitutional law on the roadside. Remain silent when appropriate. Ask if you are free to leave, and request a lawyer if questioning becomes investigative. Because the smartest way to protect your rights is not by escalating the encounter. It's by staying controlled while the camera and your words protect you. And in the next video, we're going to break down the 3 sentences drivers should never say when an officer asks, "Do you know why I pulled you over?"